She was fired on Christmas Eve and texted her ex. Hours later, the CEO showed up at her door. By the time Lena closed her laptop, the apartment felt colder than it had all day. The Zoom call had lasted less than 4 minutes. No warning, no performance plan, just a stiff HR smile, a rehearsed paragraph about restructuring, and a digital signature request already waiting in her inbox. Fired. On Christmas Eve, at 4:56 p.m. She sat there for a while, staring at the blank wall above her desk, listening to the hum of the radiator struggle against the December air. Outside, someone laughed. A car passed with a tree tied to its roof. The world, apparently, had not received the memo that hers had just cracked open. Lena reached for her phone without thinking. Muscle memory, habit, reflex. You up, she typed. She stared at the message, thumb hovering. It had been almost a year since she'd last texted Mark. A clean break, they'd agreed. Necessary. Adult. But adulthood felt like a scam at the moment, and she hit send before she could overthink it. The reply came faster than she expected. Yeah, everything okay, she exhaled, something between a laugh and a sob escaping her throat. Got fired. Merry Christmas to me. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared. I'm sorry, Lena. That's brutal. Want to talk? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stood up and moved through the apartment, turning on lamps as dusk thickened outside. The Christmas decorations she'd half-heartedly put up last weekend now felt mocking. Twinkling lights, a small tree in the corner, a wreath on the door she'd forgotten to take down from last year. I don't even know what I want, she finally typed. Just didn't want to be alone with it. You don't have to be, Mark replied. I'm here. That was the problem, wasn't it? He always was. They talked for an hour. About nothing and everything. About how ridiculous it was to fire someone on Christmas Eve. About how her boss had avoided eye contact. About how she kept replaying the moment, searching for something she'd missed. Mark listened the way he always had, quietly, attentively, like her words mattered. By the time they hung up, Lena felt steadier. Not better, but less like she was floating untethered in space. She made herself pasta she didn't taste and poured a glass of wine she barely drank. Around 8, she changed into sweatpants and considered going to bed early, letting the day end quietly. That was when the knock came. It was firm, confident, not the hesitant tap of a neighbor or the apologetic knock of a delivery driver. Lena frowned and checked the time. 8:17 p.m. She wasn't expecting anyone. Her first thought was Mark. But he lived 40 minutes away and hated surprises. Still, her heart did something stupid and hopeful as she walked to the door and looked through the peephole. She froze. Standing in the hallway, coat dusted with melting snow, was Daniel Cross, CEO of Crosswell Technologies. Her CEO, the man who had founded the company in his garage 15 years ago. The man whose name was on the building. The man who had just, apparently, shown up at her apartment. Lena opened the door, her brain lagging several seconds behind her body. Hi, she said, brilliantly. Hi, Lena, Daniel said, offering a small, apologetic smile. I hope this isn't inappropriate. She blinked. What? How did you? HR has your address on file, he said quickly. I debated all the ways this could be weird and decided it was already a weird day. That was fair. She stepped aside without thinking. Do you want to come in? Thank you. Her apartment suddenly felt painfully small. Too personal. Too full of evidence of her life. Unwashed mugs in the sink, a throw blanket draped over the couch, the tree in the corner glowing softly. Daniel took off his coat, folding it neatly over his arm. I won't take much of your time. You're at my door on Christmas Eve, Lena said. I think we passed much time already. He smiled, just a little. Then his expression sobered. I found out about your termination an hour ago, he said. Her stomach dropped. You didn't know. No, he said firmly. I approved a restructuring plan. I did not approve names. And if I had seen yours, he stopped, choosing his words carefully. This conversation would have happened very differently. Lena crossed her arms, not out of defensiveness but because she needed something to do with them. So why are you here? Daniel met her eyes. Because you were let go due to a metric that doesn't exist. She frowned. What? The team used an outdated performance model, he said. One that penalizes collaboration-heavy roles. I caught it during a final review. By the time I did, the notices had already gone out. Silence stretched between them. I'm sorry, he said. That apology doesn't fix the shock. Or the timing. But I needed you to hear it from me. Lena swallowed. Does that mean? Yes, he said, if you want your job back, it's yours. Effective immediately. With a formal apology and a bonus I will personally approve for making you deal with this on Christmas Eve. Her knees went weak. She sat down hard on the couch. Daniel hesitated, then sat in the armchair across from her, keeping a respectful distance. I also wanted to say this, he added. You were one of the reasons the project didn't fall apart this year. People trust you. That matters more than any spreadsheet. Lena stared at him, heat pricking behind her eyes. You drove here to tell me that? Yes. She laughed then, short, incredulous, wet with tears. You know, I texted my ex because I got fired. Daniel raised an eyebrow. That seems like a dangerous emotional decision. Objectively terrible, she agreed. But tonight just keeps escalating. He smiled again, warmer this time. I'll leave you to your evening, he said, standing. Think about the offer. There's no pressure to answer tonight. As he reached the door, Lena spoke before she could stop herself. Daniel, he turned. Thank you, she said, for coming. Even if I'd said no, it would have mattered. He nodded. Merry Christmas, Lena. Merry Christmas. After he left, Lena closed the door and leaned against it, heart racing. Her phone buzzed a moment later. You okay? Mark texted. She smiled, finally, genuinely. Yeah, she typed. You're not going to believe this.